use that one to reel. Right, good evening everyone. Welcome to our second UTC Reading virtual open event, and thank you very much for giving up some of your time this evening to find out more about UTC Reading. So just to give you a quick order of events for tonight and for the next hour, and also a bit of a recommendation about how you can interact with us over the course of this event. So the plan is that you're going to hear from me for a very short period of time, and I'll do a more formal introduction in a minute. Just give you an introduction to the UTC and some of the big picture stuff that we really want you to understand. And then I will be taking you on a first-person view tour of the UTC building, whilst stopping off at various areas around the building to talk to other members of staff in my leadership team who will talk to you about other particular features of the UTC and how we operate, as well as delving in a bit more detail to some of the specific subjects. You'll also hear from two of our ex-students as well, who both now happen to be working for our industry partners as well, and they'll be able to tell you about their experience as UTC Reading students, but also how they transitioned into the world of work with these industry partners that they now work with. And you'll also hear from a current student as well. So let's deal with the housekeeping stuff. So what we recommend is that you keep all your microphones on mute and your cameras off. We have a wonderful team of people working in the background, keeping control of everything in the hope that that manages all the technology and everything works effectively, and that you can all hear and see everything as you need to as we go around the building. If you are watching this on a mobile device, we have noticed that on occasions, when there's a PowerPoint slide up on the screen, sometimes it seems to go out of Zoom and we're not sure why. If that does happen, just rotate your phone through 90 degrees and then back again, and it will reset it. And over the course of the evening, you will see people in full screen in front of you, as you can at the moment, and there'll be other parts where you can see and hear the person in a small thumbnail whilst there is a PowerPoint slide up on the screen. After the event, we will share with you all the information that you've had tonight, which will include a recording of the event, so you can listen back to everything that we've said, and all of the various guests this evening will say as well. You'll get the PowerPoint that runs with it, and any questions that we are unable to answer by the end of this session, we will write a full written response to every single question that we get this evening, and that will be sent out by the end of the day tomorrow to all the people that have joined us. Just with regards to the questions, over the course of the event, if you have got any questions at all that you would like to ask, at the end of the session, we will be hosting a Q&A session back in this conference room that I'm stood in now. And along with myself, a couple of members of my senior team will be joining us to answer as many of those questions as we can in, say, 10 or 15 minutes. And then, like I say, anything else that we can't answer, we will do via written response by the end of tomorrow. So let's get on with this evening. I'll start off with a formal introduction so that you know who I am, and I'm not just the compere for this evening, although I'll be doing that as well. Hopefully you've got a slide coming up on your screen. There we go. So my name is Jonathan Nichols, and I'm the principal at the UTC. I have been the principal here for just over 3 years now, and I've been a member of the senior team since the second year of operation. And in that time, I've seen the UTC grow significantly from around 150 students when we first opened in September 2013 to where we are today with 500 students, broadly split between Key Stage 4 and Key Stage 5, about 250 in each. And we now have just over 50 staff that are operating across the UTC and supporting all of our students in gaining a fantastic education in this rather unique environment. So that's a bit about me, and you'll hear lots from me throughout the event and telling you more information about how the school operates. So just taking you on to the next slide, which will happen very shortly. There we go. I really want to just sort of express the importance of this vision to you. So all big organisations, schools, companies, individuals, generally those that are becoming successful or have been successful, have a very, very clear vision of what they're trying to achieve. And this is our vision. So transforming lives through learning. Not only is this a vision for UTC Reading, but it is a vision across the 7 schools across our multi-academy trust, where UTC Reading is one of those 7. There's some important words in this that really matter to me and matter to all of the community that we work with. So we're talking about transformation. So if you think about when you join a new organisation, in this case a school, we want you to experience a form of transformation from the moment that you engage with us right now, all the way to the point at which you finish your education with us, either at the end of year 11 or at the end of year 13. But the next word is also really important as well. It says lives. your lives don't just exist in the 2 or 4 years that are at UTC Reading. They have already existed up until this point that you join us, and they will continue to exist for many years to come. So the point of this is not just about transforming your lives in the 4 years that you're with us or the 2 years that you're with us. It's about transforming everything about you so that your lives in the future are positively impacted by the work that you've done in the education that you've had at the UTC. And the way in which we do that is through learning. And that applies to, and again, this statement applies to every single individual that comes into the UTC. Primarily, that's the students. They're the ones that we really want to have the biggest impact on, because that's the point. But also this applies to our staff. So any staff member that joins us at any point on their career journey, the aspiration is that they experience some form of transformation that helps to help their lives as well. And parents and guardians that are on the event tonight, that you should experience some degree of transformation as well, because if your child is becoming more confident and more able to progress into a fantastic career in the future and thus start a really confident working life, that is only going to fill you with confidence and help provide some form of transformation for you and the rest of your family as well. So this is an all-encompassing statement and a real sort of statement of intention about what we're trying to achieve as a school and as a multi-academy trust. And a very brief bit about the multi-academy trust is just on the next slide. So you can see here the logos of the 7 schools that we've got, 4 of which are university technical colleges, 2 are mainstream comprehensive schools in Thiel Green and the Vista School, and then we've also got the technology studio. So across these 7 schools, we work very closely together, particularly as head teachers and principals, and we have a CEO who also happens to be the founding principal at UTC Reading. So there's lots of connection between all of us. There's a real big focus about preparing young people for the world of work and the future that, frankly, we don't know what the future looks like yet. And we've seen in the last 12 months that what we think might happen can change dramatically. And we've all had to be flexible and adaptable to the changing needs of the world that we've all experienced. So this is a really big project that we've been working on. We're educating somewhere just over 3,000 students across these 7 schools and have around 400 staff. And we've got a very clear strategic vision for all of these schools for the next 5 years, which is very exciting, and you'll hear more from us in the not too distant future. So that's the vision across the schools and a bit about the trust. Moving forward on to how we do things at UTC Reading specifically. So this is our mission. This is how we go about doing the job of transforming lives through learning. So you'll see words in there about the transformation of lives, and you'll also see things in there about igniting confidence and expanding opportunities and energising the community. And I just want to pick on that very last point that I made there about energising the community. If you think about what we've all just been through and continue to go through in these very difficult times, even though we've been broken apart, the sense of community has never been more important. And I see that schools have a big part to play in this, in that, as the Prime Minister said yesterday, he really wants to keep schools open for as long as possible because they enable people to do other things, and the young people that come into school every day really need a good education to help give them a platform to step up onto as they go out into their working lives in the future. So I see our job as UTC Reading to really energise the community in whatever the circumstance we might be facing at that time, and certainly now is one of the most complex ones. But what I'm seeing more than I've ever seen before in over 15 years of work in education now is a real sense of connection in our community, even though we're having to do many more things remotely, just like we're having to do this evening. So that for me is really exciting, and we're just finding different ways of energising the communities as we work through this difficult time. The other words in there about expanding opportunities, this is one of the reasons why you should come to UTC Reading as a student, is because it's going to give you opportunities that, in my view, you may not get in other schools. And if nothing else, it will just open your eyes up to what is available to you as you progress out into the world of work. And the other part in there is about igniting confidence. Confidence is not something that sits with every single one of us. It's normally within us somewhere, but sometimes we have to help young people and even adults bring it to the surface so that we can stand up and be really confident about what we believe in and what we want to try and achieve in the future. And that's certainly a big aspiration of ours as we work with our students going forward. And you can see some other words in there about our values of empowerment, enterprise, connectedness and transformation too. Again, these are all words that really mean something to us, and over the time that our students are with us and our parents, we expect these words and these statements to become something that you feel very attached to as well, and drive the way in which you work as you progress through the school. And then just sort of focusing in on a bit more about why you might choose to come here. So those last two slides are very much about the real big picture stuff, the kind of why we're here and why we do what we do, and how this is much more about why you might choose to come here. Now, in year 10, I fully appreciate that if you're currently in year 9, choosing to leave a school at the end of year 9, when you may have already chosen GCSEs, you're quite settled in the school that you're in already, it seemed a bit crazy to consider leaving the school and coming into a new school environment for the remaining 2 years of that GCSE period when you may already feel settled in your school. But the thing is that we believe that we offer something different. It's not necessarily me standing here and saying we offer something better. This is about offering something different for you to join us in either year 10 or year 12. And the fundamental thing in there is that we expect you to want something different as well. So if you're currently in a school or a college or whatever environment you're in and thinking, I really would like my education to focus more on engineering, computer science, or the broader STEM fields, why wouldn't you at least consider joining the UTC? And I say that confidently because they are our specialisms. So computing and engineering are definitely two of our big specialisms, but in the broadest sense, we cover all of the STEM fields in a very, very detailed way. And you can come and study with us in a variety of different formats that you'll hear about throughout the presentations this evening. So if you're interested in doing GCSEs alongside technical education in either engineering or computing with some option subjects, that works for Key Stage 4, and likewise for Key Stage 5, you can do one of 3 different routes of study. Again, we'll share more information about that over the course of the evening. And so it's not just about A-levels, it's not just about technical qualification, there's a hybrid route in there as well. The second point is about learning differently. So yes, we have teachers, and yes, they stand in classrooms and they work with students and they teach lessons and the students learn, but we also do these huge projects that you'll hear about from some of our alumni students this evening in terms of how that's had an impact on them. And these are other ways of learning. It's not just about listening to a teacher telling you information and you being expected to retain it and then try and regurgitate it in an exam 2 years later. That's not what education's about. It's about inspiring you with different experiences. And we learn through different projects, employer engagement activities, both in the classroom and on these broader scale projects that we do across the whole school, and trying to bring to life all of the education that you have in the classroom that sits with your curriculum, bringing that to life by allowing our industry partners to tell you how you are going to apply those skills when you get out to the world of work. And the final point in there is that really you should want the very best opportunity to moving on to either employment, further or higher education, or some form of degree apprenticeship, so that you are starting your working life in a really positive way. And if all of those things apply, then I completely understand why you're here this evening trying to find out more information about the UTC. But again, if all of these 3 things apply, you should seriously consider putting in an application too, because we do offer something different. It is different to what other secondary schools are doing. Like I said at the start of this section, it's not that we're better, it's just that it offers an alternative. And if you are finding that the education that you're currently getting isn't giving you what you want to get you to where you want to go, and this sounds right, I would certainly consider it in terms of putting an application in. And I'll tell you how to do that later in the presentation. So the very last bit of information from me before we go walking around the building, we're very aspirational at the UTC, as hopefully you can already work out from the things that I've said already. What's really important here is that we know what we're doing and how well we can go about doing it and the influence that we can have on the students. But in many ways, there's always things that schools have to do in order to gain recognition. It's never enough that your students go on to great careers. Schools are expected to try and achieve other accolades to identify with new clients, so in this case, new students and parents, that what we're doing is of a particular level. So back in 2015, we were the first UTC in the country to achieve an Ofsted Outstanding rating. On a personal view, I think we are far better than that now. It's a bold statement to make that. If you're already outstanding, how do you get better than outstanding? There isn't a grade 1+ yet, but I think what we've added to the UTC since that point, when we were only at the end of our second year, we're now in year 8, we've added a massive amount of experience for our students, and we've grown the opportunities, and our students are going on to more destinations of varying types. So I think we've added a huge amount of value to that, but the important thing for us was how do we demonstrate that other than just showing you where the students go to. So in December 2017, we were awarded the World Class Schools Quality Mark. And the important thing for me with that particular award was that our students earned it for us. Whereas when Ofsted come in and they carry out an inspection, they pretty much talk to students on the way around the building, but they spend 2 days talking to staff. The world-class schools assessors spend their entire time talking to students, and it was our students that were able to demonstrate that they were world-class students, and as a result, it must mean that the school was working towards a world-class schools status as well. So we achieved that in December 2017, and we are going to re-accredit for that in the new year in 2021, and we're just starting the process of that now. The career mark again in 2018, we achieved that for all of the work that we do with our students to prepare them for the world of work and give them specific careers advice and guidance. And we were already meeting all of the Gatsby benchmarks at the point at which we achieved that before they became an Ofsted criteria. That was already done and in the bag, and we've just gone through the re-accreditation process for that 2 weeks ago and have achieved that career mark once again. And the one above it is the Microsoft Global Showcase School. So we've achieved that every year for the last 6 years. And I set that as one of the targets for this year. And by the end of week 1, we have been recognised by Microsoft as a Global Showcase School because of all the incredible things that we do with Microsoft programs and software, and the things that we do as educators to enable our students to learn using technology. And you'll hear more about that from one of my colleagues very shortly. And then the 5th one on there is about the SSAT educational outcomes. You know, results are important, there's no doubt about that. And lots of people like to say, well, what are your GCSE results and what are your A-level results like? For me, they're just a part of the journey for a student getting to a destination in the future. And we talk about our results, but what we really talk about are the other achievements of the students, the professional qualifications, and primarily the destinations that they get to. But last year, because of our technical award results and our applied general results, the SSAT recognised that as a great set of results for us. I say last year, the year before, 2019, and they recognised that as a really positive set of results, and they gave us 2 of the awards for that. So that's the introduction and the first part of the event this evening. The next part is where hopefully you won't get travel sick. You'll hear from me talking as we go around the building. We are going to go through the front entrance, and then we're going to go and meet 2 of my colleagues. You'll hear from me again, and then we'll get back around on the tour, and then you'll start to hear from some of the guests this evening. So just bear with us while we sort the camera out. We just need to swap things around, and then we will get going. Okay. All right, so I'm going to start you off in the front reception. So the aim of this tour is that you will get a feel for what the UTC is like. I fully appreciate that not being in the building, it's very hard to get a sense of what the building feels like. 1, because there's no students in it at the moment, and 2, because you're not actually in it yourself. So I recognise how difficult that might be, but hopefully by the time we walk around, you'll get a feel for the scale. So when you arrive as a student in the morning, you will come in through this main reception, which is off of Crescent Road just here. We've got a lovely green front entrance, and this is the only way in for students. There's normally somebody here at reception on the right-hand side, and there's always someone here to welcome you. And when you arrive at the UTC, you'll have a badge like you'd have in most schools. So here's mine, and that is what you need to get into the building. And then you swipe in on these barriers, and then you're through the barriers, and you are into the UTC building. Okay, and then we're into the main part of the front entrance. Okay, now just to give you an idea, this is the entire width of the building. So if you might not be able to see it on your screens, but just down here there's a glass door. That is one end of the building on one side, and if I pan round, all the way down here is another glass door down there that you can just see, and that is the other side of the building. So it's actually not a huge facility in terms of its breadth. What that does mean is that it's very, very easy to navigate and work your way around. So when you come into the building in the morning, typically the Key Stage 4 students will come in, they will head down the corridor here. We are going to go down there very shortly after we've spoken to a few of the colleagues, and they would go to this area down here where the lockers are, and you'd be able to unload any equipment that you've got and store it away, and the same for Key Stage 5. And then typically what most people do in the morning is they come and grab some food from the dining room. So we're going to head up that way, and we'll stop off in the dining room after we have stopped and spoken to Jax and Jenny. So as we come into this space here, before I introduce you to Jax and Jenny, who are here over the back, this is our independent learning zone. This is one of the 4 spaces that we've got where our 6th formers are allowed to come and work independently during the time in which they've got timetabled lessons. So when they finish their lessons, they come out, they've got their laptops, they're able to come in here and work independently. They can also work off-site if they wish, or at home if they live nearby. So I'm going to come and sit down with Jax, and she's going to tell you a little bit about her role. Go for it.
Hi, I'm Jax Smith. I'm Assistant Principal in charge of Professional Behaviours, Pastoral Care and Safeguarding. I've got a number of roles in the school, and that includes, sorry, I just need the slides. I've had a mental day today. Punctuality and attendance. So we are trying to provide a work environment for our students. And one of the main things is making sure that they arrive to school on time and they arrive to school and go to lessons on time as well. So we really want to instill that ethos in them, because if they're late for work, then they're probably going to get fired. So we really want them to have that strong work ethic. I'm a very positive person. My glass is always half full, not empty. And I really like to instill that positivity in our students. And our staff as well. So it's all about positive praise and positive relationships around school. So we have a system online called ePraise, where we put all of the positive things that they've done around school, where they can earn points and prizes and badges to instill that positive community feel around school. Very importantly, we want people to be respectful to each other. So that's the fact that we call each other by our first name actually helps the respectfulness as well. So making sure that people say hello and goodbye and thank you, open doors, and they're just generally respectful to each other, not swearing, those kind of things. Staying safe around school, part of my safeguarding role is to ensure that children are always safe in lessons, around school and outside of school as well. That includes online and also sort of behaviour wise as well, making sure that if they've got concerns or something happens, that we follow up those concerns and we look after them really well. So that's my role. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Jax. And I'm going to just move over without tripping over to Jenny.
Hi. So I'm Jenny. I am Assistant Principal here in charge of Teaching, Learning and Assessment. So learning at UTC Reading is much like any other school. You will cover a core curriculum, but the lessons aren't the same. You're going to be working with your teachers in a much more relaxed way. You're going to be learning loads of skills that apply to different places, transferable skills that will apply to your job, university, apprenticeship. And then we also have a specific careers skills programme to help you develop all of those skills really explicitly that you can apply to all of those different areas. We're using a mix of digital and traditional methods. So this is something that's really brilliant for us at the moment with our remote learning procedure. So students who aren't currently in our building due to COVID-related isolations are able to join our lessons live via audio and see what their teachers are teaching in real time, so they're not disadvantaged by not being in the building. That's it.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
I need to do curriculum. So curriculum options at Key Stage 4, we have a core set of subjects that you need to study. So you've got English, Maths and Science. All students who enter Year 10 are going to study triple science, and you're going to hear a little bit more about that later on when we talk about science. You've then got a set of options to choose. So you need to choose a specialism. You would need to choose a technical qualification in engineering or computing. And then you've got options for GCSE and NCFE subjects. So you can choose 3D art and design, business, computer science, history or geography, and you need to choose 2 out of 5. At Key Stage 5, we've got 3 different routes for you to take. So we've got an academic route, a technical route and a hybrid route. So we have the technical route. You're going to choose a level 3 extended diploma, I couldn't remember what it was called, in computing or engineering, which is the equivalent of 3 A levels. If you'd like to do the hybrid route, you're going to pick a certificate in computing or engineering plus 2 A levels from the list of choices there. You'll notice that they are quite STEM related. We do have things like English, but we tend to stick with our specialisms around the STEM subjects. And then the final one is the pure A level route, where you will be able to choose any 3 of the A levels listed on the slide. I think that's it for me. Oh no, it's not it for me. The timetable. So at the moment we have a slightly, used to be a bit longer than this, but this academic year we have reduced it slightly. So we are at school from 8:30 till 4 on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday, and then on a Friday from 8:30 to 3:30. The current working arrangement for our Key Stage 5 students is that they are allowed to leave the building and work from home when they don't have lessons. So if, for example, they didn't have a lesson until 12 on one of the days, they can work from home in the morning and come in for their lesson. And they also have a scheduled work from home day on a Friday where they've got time to complete their assignments, to consolidate the work they've done during the week. And we do have online lessons running through Microsoft Teams on a Friday to help students who might not quite have understood something during the week, and they've got that additional time to catch up with their teachers and receive some additional support. That is it from me.
Brilliant. Thank you, Jenny, and thank you, Jax. So I would normally at this point be handing over to Neil, but who's vice principal, but unfortunately he is off unwell today. So I'm going to do my very best to fill in for him, and I'm going to do so from the dining room because I thought it's really important to show you some of the other key areas of the UTC. So this is one of 3 spaces that we've got. The reason why I show you this is that what we're trying to do with the building all the time is to make sure that it much more reflects the world of work rather than looking like a school. And you can see, we've had a normal UTC day in here today. So in both the breaks and the lunches today, there's been around 240 students all the way through this space. And you can see how smart and tidy we try and keep it, even after they've all been through and had those two breaks in there. So that gives you an idea of the scale. Now, whilst I'm in here, I am going to turn the camera around so that you can see me again. And then I will talk to you about the things that are going to come up on the slides very shortly. So let me just put this down so that you don't all get a headache from watching me wobbling around everywhere. So I'm just going to ask Amy to bring the screen a bit nearer. So with a bit of luck, you should be able to see me. Okay, there we go. So yeah, like I say, unfortunately, Neil couldn't be with us this evening because he's not feeling 100%. Neil's the vice principal and one of the senior leadership team, and Jenny and Jax are the 2 assistant principals. And there's a third one as well who's currently not with us because she's on maternity leave. So that's the senior team. That's what we call the principals group, and the senior team that runs the school on a day-to-day basis. Now, what you can see on the screen at the moment is 4 key areas about how we engage students in other ways other than just in the curriculum. So if you think about normal lessons, these are the things that we do to try and enrich the curriculum to give you more experience of the world of work, how industry partners work, and to open your mind. And as I said all the way back at the start there on one of those slides, I was talking about expanding opportunities. And you only really get that when you open your mind up to what's available to you. So if we talk about the pipeline program for Key Stage 5, that's a really big program that we brought online 2 years ago. That's where a group of employers, it started off as 12, work with particularly with our 6th formers, so Key Stage 5 only. In effect, what they do is they advertise themselves to the 6th form, and the 6th form will choose to connect with a pipeline program partner for the whole of the academic years in either year 12 or year 13, during which time they'll be completely and utterly exposed to what that industry partner is doing in terms of how they work, how they operate, the different types of job roles. On many occasions, they had opportunities to visit the sites where these employers are based and engage with numerous different employees around that company, around those industries. Now, clearly, that's a bit of a challenge for us at the moment because of the COVID restrictions. So we are finding alternative ways to try and deliver that. But once COVID is past, hopefully not too far from now, that pipeline program will very much come back on board again, certainly at the time when you join in September 2021 in year 12. For those of you that are joining in that year group, we hope very much that will be back online again and operating in its full capacity as it was. So that's the pipeline. Key Stage 4 experience, that's slightly different. So whilst you will still engage with industry partners in Key Stage 4, what we're trying to do, because you're still normally at Key Stage 4 deciding what direction you want to head, and is it engineering, is it computing, which of these subjects do I really want to focus on as I get into the 6th form and progress on in the future. The experience program is about opening your eyes up to other things. So some of that's around projects, some of that's around building up your confidence in public speaking, in your own confidence. There's a whole range of different experiences, but again, a lot of it is engaging with industry partners to open your mind up to what's available. Then we've got the specialist enrichment. So every Friday, as it is this year, we have 1.5 hour slots, which is the last session of the week, where staff and some industry partners deliver specialist enrichments. Some of it is about just having a break at the end of the week and having an opportunity to relax. And again, that's where we're trying to reflect the world of work, that it's not all about work. What you'd also need is a bit of downtime where you can do other things. So the specialist enrichments would include things like the Royal Navy Challenge, Green Power Cars, We've got a girls' coding club. We've got professional qualifications. We've got a film club, a gardening club, sports. Fundamentally, if there's something that a young person wants to do to try and enrich their lives and enrich the curriculum that they're studying, and they've got a suggestion, and there's a member of staff that's passionate about that too, we will try and put that on. Generally speaking, they are all quite well aligned with our specialisms, but there are also some quite unique ones that give the staff members an opportunity to really express some of their interests and their passions with students joining them. And likewise, if students come to us and recommend things that they would really like to do as an enrichment, we try and support that too. And then the last bit is really a summary of how all that works. So project-based learning may be something that you've heard of in your current schools. Parents, you may have heard it as well as one of the strategies that schools are using. It's something for us that's really important. So it's about teaching students through projects rather than just through the hard and fast, here's the material, now you need to remember it, and then go and regurgitate it in a few years' time in a hall. This is about experiencing learning through projects and different opportunities, and that's something that we try and run as part of our programme. It is definitely more difficult at this moment in time because of the COVID restrictions, so we're having to be adaptable and flexible about how we bring those things in again. But again, for those of you joining in September, the hope is that we'll be able to bring more of that back online and make all that work in the way in which we've become very good at doing. So that's some key bits there. Now, the slide that you can see now on the screen is an example. It's not everyone, but it's an example of where our students go on to. And you can see there that we've got universities, we've got employers. And just going back to one of the slides that Jenny had, she was talking about the curriculum, and this is probably most relevant for Key Stage 5. You would have seen there that there were 3 routes. There was a technical route, a hybrid route, and then an A-level route. What I really want to highlight there is that there was an absence of the word academic. And this is something that's really important to me and is a narrative that I keep trying to push forward across the whole of the education system, as we have to stop talking about those that are academic do A-levels and GCSEs, and those that are not academic do technical qualifications. Frankly, you need to be academic to do all of them, okay? But it's about the style of learning that you're interested in doing. So depending on where you want to get to, as you can see on that slide, there's numerous places that you can go to. But the assumption that in order to get to university you need to do A-levels is wrong. You can do that by going through a BTEC qualification in either engineering or computing. The fact that you want to go to an apprenticeship means that you should really do a BTEC because that's more technical. That's not true either. You can go on to an apprenticeship with A-levels. Those 3 routes at sixth form can take you to an apprenticeship, onto a degree course through UCAS, or a hybrid of the 2 where you might be doing a degree apprenticeship, or straight out to work if that's your aspiration. And again, this is what we're aiming for, is to help our students take that first step into the world of work, onto university, or a combination of the 2. And that some of these examples hopefully will inspire you as to where you might be able to get to in the not too distant future. So that's the end of Neil's bit. I'm now going to take you on the next part of the tour, which is going to take you down to see David, who is our Director of Engineering. I'm just going to swap the camera around. So we're heading back down the corridor. That's where we just were with Jenny and Jax in this room here. We're coming from the dining room. So go back to the start of the day. You've got yourself some food. You're ready for the day. And you've got an engineering lesson. So you'll head back down this corridor here. Here's the lockers that I was talking about. And this is where you can come and store your things. And they head all the way down the corridor. I'll just have a quick nose in the hall. So those of you that are interested in sports, this is our sports hall. It's not a full-size school sports hall, but it's enough to do the sport that we do for Key Stage 4, where Key Stage 4 students get 1 hour a week of scheduled sports lessons taught by a private sports company. And the Key Stage 5 students at the moment haven't got access to timetable sports. But once the COVID is gone, where they will be able to access the gym. So here we are in the first of 3 labs that you're going to be shown through for engineering. And this is David, the Director of Engineering. Over to you, David.
Hello. Well, I'm very proud to show you around engineering. This is one of 6 rooms dedicated to our discipline. I'm going to show you around a couple of workshops and a room downstairs. Upstairs, we've got computer-aided design suites, electronics, and a new specialist mechanical testing area. But your journey as Key Stage 4 will start here. So let's just have a little look at some of the things that you might be involved with. As an engineer, the first thing you need to learn is drawing, because drawing is the language of engineers. And so as part of the qualification that you'll take, which is an EAL qualification, it's shown here, it's a GCSE equivalent level 2 qualification. It's a very practical one. You can see the pieces of metal here that students work on. You use hand tools extensively to create objects that are prescribed in a portfolio which is assigned to you. You learn about health and safety, of course. You learn in the workshop how to use tools and how to make things to given specifications. So it's all very exciting stuff. If you've not done any metalwork before, it doesn't matter. We take you from a standing start, as it were, and get you to produce items in a conventional way, using, as I say, a conventional workshop. So you can see vices, drills, and so on. Over in the corner is a new piece of kit that we got recently, courtesy of National Grid. We, as a department, are very good at working with industry, and we are very grateful to industry because they support us enormously. They support us financially as well. And this was bought us, this is a laser cutter. You can see that some of the bits of acetate in here. This is the sort of thing it can do. This was bought with a considerable donation from National Grid. We also work in other areas. Here, I've got some enrichments. Now, alongside any of your engineering qualifications, you can undertake some fun, non-examined projects. And the camera's just zooming in to a drone. Many of you might have drones at home. This is a great example of mechatronics. So you can actually undertake the construction and the coding to fly drones, and also robots here, which we've got as well. Over here, we've got examples of green powered cars. Now, these cars were built, the one on the right-hand side, you can see is assembled. That was built by Year 10 students from a kit. And we're just in the stage of putting the body shell on it now. They're designing that, and we're going to fabricate that and get that up together. Hopefully we'll then start to race it, but you'll appreciate with COVID there's very little racing going on at the moment. And then there's another kit next to it where they're actually going to assemble parts onto that, and they'll learn all about electric vehicles, things like regen, which you'd find familiar on things like Teslas these days. So they will have that technology to use here, and there's engine components. Just have a little look. Walking through into the second of the workshops, this one's more to do with machining, and so you might be familiar in your schools. You might have some lathes and milling machines, which is what we've got here. So this is conventional machining. So you can learn how to turn components, place them, knurl them, this kind of thing. So there's some components here, these sort of things that you might make as an engineer in here. We work closely with the Royal Navy and other services, and there are various competitions that we run as well. So there are lots of things where we get involved with outside. Just walking past here, this was actually today, Year 10s. They did a little civil engineering experiment, and they made bridges with lolly sticks, which is a great example for civil engineers of the future. And you can see their different designs, and they go on to test those. Walking through into here, so we're leaving behind the old-fashioned engineering, and now we're moving into a more advanced manufacturing area. So this is more into Key Stage 5. These facilities we've got upstairs, really, but I've just brought a few examples down to show you. Some of the machines you might have seen are CNC machines. Now, these are programmed by our students to machine various components. It could be, something like this. We machine in foam because it's easier to machine in foam. It's less messy and easier on tools and so on. So that's there. So we've got 3 different types of machine, CNC machine. Over here, we've got a 3D printer. And again, some of you might have these at home. This is the future of manufacturing because we are using various plastics or even metals to produce components completely from scratch. So a computer-aided design, there's one on the screen you can see in a minute, is then transferred to a file that actually makes components. And if you look at this is pretty amazing. It's a little adjustable spanner printed in one piece, and you can see it actually works. That's quite good. All printed in one go. It's currently printing a vase, and you can see it working there. So that's very nice. and there's some older 3D printers here. Examples of student work for computer-aided design on the screen there. Students undertake projects in year 12 in CAD. We also work with Autodesk, so they can get professional qualifications as well. So lots to do in engineering. A few more things on the table here. Robotics. We have quite a good link with BMW and Mini. We go to the Mini plant. We look at these 6-axis robots producing minis at phenomenal rates with welding spot welders attached to the end of them. So, as I say, lots to do in engineering, lots of exciting things to do. Too much to talk about in the time available. So I hope I'll see you here soon for another chat.
Brilliant.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, David. So we're going to walk back through engineering now. Lots of information there to take on. So just to give you a bit of a break from the live bit walking around the building, you're now going to hear from Mason Ward, one of our current students, who's going to be having a chat with Steph Mitchell, who's our Executive Director for Careers and Destinations. Steph and Mason, over to you.
Thank you, John. So you should be able to see me and Mason on the screen, hopefully. And Mason is a Year 10 student at UTC Reading. He joined us in September, and he's going to tell us a little bit about his experiences and his time here so far. So Mason, could you tell us why you chose to come to UTC Reading?
I chose to come to UTC Reading because it had more updated equipment than my previous school. And it had given me more opportunities for my future. And I had heard lots about previous students that achieved excellent grades, and lots of good reviews on the school.
Brilliant. And what has been your experience of your first half term here at UTC Reading so far?
It's been fantastic. All the teachers are really nice. They really want to teach you. But my previous school didn't really care. But it makes me feel more independent on my future, and it makes me feel more grown up. All the teachers explain really good, and I normally get the work really good done, and it makes me feel like I want to come to school every day more.
Brilliant. That's really, really good. And what is your favourite thing about UTC Reading?
My favourite thing is that it teaches me to get ready for my work in the future, and it teaches me to be more independent in my life.
Brilliant, amazing. And what advice would you give to a Year 9 student that might be considering coming to UTC Reading next year?
I'll tell them to take it, just for them to try it. And if you don't like it, you can always move back. But it's always nice to try stuff.
Brilliant. Thank you, Mason. John, we are back over to you now.
Okay, right. Thank you, Mason and Steph, for that information. Now, in that time that you've been talking, we managed to run upstairs, so forgive us for sounding slightly out of breath, but one person that isn't is Rob, who's been waiting for us, and he's going to tell you about his role and the computing department. Over to you, Rob.
Good evening. Yeah, my name's Robert. I am the Director of Computing. I also hold the role of the Professional Qualifications Coordinator. But let me tell you a bit about the computing department first. You should be able to see that we have this ethos of a practical project-based computing. And last month when I talked to this event, I talked about students working on AI that day. I'm reflecting on this. I wondered what I was going to be talking about today. And then I found myself walking into an A-level lesson where the students were working on an app to optimize the selection of research articles at Reading University that Reading University had asked us to work upon. I come into my classroom at lunch break and I find a few Key Stage 4 students working to set up a server and network because they've been doing it virtually using Cisco's Packet Tracer and just wanted to do it for real. So came in, got out a few servers and started working on those. Previously, we've had, I mean, one of my famous ones, we had a student working on an app for Thames Water so that a visually impaired employee could work on Salesforce. We've had students who have been working on pharmaceutical production line and how to secure it. You know, it's amazing just how many projects that we manage to fit in that seem commonplace for us. But as John always says, we also do qualifications here. So if you come here at Key Stage 4 and choose computing, then you will take our Cambridge National IT course, where you will look at data management, data analysis, project management, and so forth. If you then choose to do the GCSE option, we will teach you some coding along with systems architecture, cybersecurity, and so on. If you come along at Key Stage 5, we have 3 options that you can take. So if you take the A level, obviously you will carry on with some coding. You will do a serious NEA project, which will take up 20% of your A level. But you'll also be talking about cloud computing, big data, systems architecture, and so on. You then have the choice of the extended certificate or the extended diploma BTECs worth 1 or 3 A-level equivalent. The BTEC is very good in that you get to choose from a wide range of projects that we do, including social media, website development, network, project management, and so on. One of the beauties of working at UTC Reading is the number of alumni that keep coming back to support us. Indeed, the other day, one of our students asked about how he could get onto a degree apprenticeship at Microsoft. And I put a plea out on LinkedIn, and who comes back but one of our alumni who's on the degree apprenticeship offering to help them. But we get alumni coming back from Fujitsu, Cisco, and so on. I suppose I ought to tell you about professional qualifications as well. So when you come here, you will be given the opportunity to freely take Microsoft, Adobe, Autodesk qualifications, which really help you stand out from the crowd when it comes to applying for jobs. And obviously, we talk about first-class careers here, and computer scientists who come out of here go on to work in cloud computing, Internet of Things, cybersecurity, big data, and obviously artificial intelligence and machine learning. So, yeah, all good.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Rob. So we're on a bit of a tight time schedule, so I'm going to try and get you around as quickly as possible. It may mean that I have to walk a bit faster, and I will do my best to keep you on track, and I will not fall over. So we're just heading down the stairs where we're going to catch up with Kirk. So we're in one of the towers at the moment. This is the tallest of our 2 towers, where there are two additional floors, including on top of the ground floor. The floor that we were just on with Rob is where we do all of the computing. This is the floor where we do all of the maths. And in here, we are going to speak to Kirk, who is the Director of Maths. Over to you, Kirk.
Hello, I'm Kirk Naylor, Director of Maths and Marketing Department. So I always like to think of maths as the language of science and technology. And as such, it's an integral part of our 2 specialisms, science, computing and engineering. We teach our students logical and analytical problem-solving skills that are highly desirable to our industry partners. At the college, we offer a variety of courses. In Key Stage 4, we offer GCSE maths, where the majority of our students will aim to sit the higher tier paper, although if appropriate, they will be able to sit the foundation tier. Next, for our most able students, we offer GCSE further maths. That gives our students a perfect opportunity to build up towards the A level and gives them a head start compared to the competition. Then at Key Stage 5, we offer 3 main courses. We offer the A-level maths, our most popular of our A-levels. A-level maths allows our students to study pure mathematics alongside mechanics and statistics. Next up, we have further maths. Further maths at A-level allows our students a bit more opportunity to choose which courses they'd like to do. So they can study pure mathematics a bit further. They can study further mechanics. They can study further statistics. They can also study decision maths, which is algorithms, which links into our computing again. This course is one of the most respected of all A-levels available. It will give our students the best opportunity when they're looking for the top universities or top careers. Our third option is core maths, level 3 core maths. is the equivalent of half an A-level or an AS. It allows our students to study maths beyond GCSE if they don't want to study the full A-level. It gives them the maths they need to support their other courses, whether it be business, computing, science. It just gives them that next step up to help them, even if they do not want to do A-level. Our department is fully staffed with fully able and experienced maths teachers that are willing to help you at any chance they can. We look forward to seeing you at UTC Reading.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Kirk. So there's maths for you, onwards and downwards this time. So we're going to head down to Nikki, who's down in the English department, and she's going to tell you about English and humanities. So we do English and humanities at Key Stage 4, as you saw in the diagram earlier on. And then we also do an A-level in English, and she will also say a little bit about EPQs. I think I did see a question pop up around whether or not we do those, and we certainly do. So here we go, over to Nikki.
Hello and welcome to the English department. My name's Nicola Gibson and I'm the Director of English and Humanities here at UTC Reading. Within the department we deliver lots of different qualifications: English language at GCSE, English literature at GCSE, history GCSE and geography GCSE. At Key Stage 5, we also offer English language and literature at A-level, and we also deliver the extended project qualification, the EPQ. We deliver the core curriculum just like any other school. However, there is so much more to it than that. When studying poetry, you might be required, for example, to be a Russian Cossack at the Battle of Balaclava and defeat the 600 in the charge of the Light Brigade. In geography, we take our students on a residential trip to a place called Rhydycrew in Wales. So you might be required to build your wooden shelter in Snowdonia. You might be developing those bushcraft skills, or learning to light a fire with what's available in order to keep yourself warm that evening. Toast those marshmallows over an open fire. Ford a stream, or go gorge scrambling if you're brave enough. In English language, you might be required to be a High Court judge and decide whether there is indeed a moral side to murder, or if Plato's allegory of the cave can be really found in the sound of silence. In history, you will walk the same streets that Jack did in the autumn of 1888 and go back to medieval times and discover trial by combat and the punishments for being found a witch. If you're fond of music, then you'll love the opportunity to analyse some of your favourite lyrics. At A-level, we are off to Paris to explore the city through non-fiction literature, plumbing the depths of Victorian Gothic, exploring the world of Mary Shelley. The Murder of Road Hill House is a set text on the A-level course as well. This relives a real-life crime by a real-life detective. You'll discover the Romantic poets and Tennessee Williams's A Streetcar Named Desire in 1950s film noir. An EPQ allows you to explore anything that your heart desires. Push yourself towards your own career goals. Expand your skill set, or simply set yourself some targets for your extracurricular activities. Anything from a focus on biomedicine, developing a brownfield site, creating a 3D model of a sustainable housing development, to learning to play the guitar or the piano, learning to code, something that you don't do on the syllabus upstairs in computer science, but you really want to learn for yourself. EPQ, you can follow any of these avenues. Anything is possible. We debate, we argue, we philosophize, but most of all, we learn. We have fun doing it. Studying English prepares you for the world beyond these doors. An English qualification can open up everything from becoming a lawyer to a journalist, engineers, going into architecture, being a game developer, software engineer. They all need good English qualifications in order to succeed. And an A-level will give you a passport to most of those degree pathways. Been nice speaking to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nikki. Now, before we head off to another area of the UTC to finish off the tour, you are going to hear from Rhiannon Dodson-Edwards, who is one of our ex-students and now working for one of our industry partners. Rhiannon, thank you for your time this evening. Over to you.
Hi, so I'm Rhiannon Dodson-Edwards. I am currently a degree apprentice at Cisco in my first year, about to start my first rotation in a brand new sector at Cisco called Enablement. So I joined UTC when it was in its 4th or 5th year, I think the 4th, so it was still fairly new at the time. And I did my GCSEs there, so I spent 2 years specialised in computer science. So I did computer science GCSE, computer science BTEC, CIDA, German as my option, English, maths, triple science. And I absolutely love my time there. I still go back all the time, before COVID anyway. So teachers are probably a bit fed up of seeing me. But it has 100% prepared me for the job role that I am in today. And having the hindsight to look back on, I can really appreciate everything that UTC has ever done for me. And it can be down to the smallest things, such as having your lanyard on and scanning your card in the morning to get into school. That's something you have to do in the office every day. Using your laptop to work is something that I have to do every day at work, especially with COVID. And having that respect for teachers and your employees and employers, it is so, so important, especially in a company like I work for, where there isn't a hierarchy. Treating both your fellow students and your teachers with the same amount of respect is absolutely vital. When you're at UTC, you are networking with the future of IT and engineering. There are people in the older years that will become degree apprentices before you, go off to university to do a degree that you want to do, or into employment that you want to do. And one thing to remember is that the IT and engineering and computing community is so small and tight-knit that you will end up bumping into people that you went to school with at UTC. And it is so brilliant to be able to have that background experience and be at UTC, to be able to make those contacts, because there was people who had actually left UTC before I even joined, who came back for industry days that John had mentioned earlier, like pipeline days, that I made contacts with, added on LinkedIn, and then they helped me with my applications further on. I have students at UTC now who I never went to school with, but they add me on LinkedIn to see what I'm doing at Cisco, and I would be more than happy to answer their questions. I did so many industry days. Just looking back at some of the stuff that I was doing during this call, I did Internet of Things for Cisco, I did Fujitsu engineering days, I did machine learning for Brilliant Club. It gave me so many grounds to talk about in interviews, right up until my interview with Cisco back in April before I got this job. It really, really gives you that background knowledge and experience to talk about. And as well as that, especially with the extra qualifications that UTC offer you, as Rob was mentioning earlier, things like doing Microsoft qualifications or working with Packet Tracer that Cisco offer, you don't realise it at the time, but you are being exposed to actual industry technology. I use Packet Tracer every day to complete my CCNA exam, which is an extra qualification that I have to do alongside my degree and day-to-day job. So by spending the 2 years at UTC, doing extra qualifications alongside my GCSEs and doing the industry placement days, it reflects the world of work completely. And UTC adapts just like the working world adapts. And you can especially see that with COVID, the way it works. It's very similar to how I work at Cisco right now. So 100% go to UTC. I wish I could go back. It was the best 2 years of school that I had. I wasn't particularly fond of my previous school. I didn't particularly enjoy college afterwards because I wish that I stayed at UTC because that was the place for me. And I can understand that parents might be a little bit hesitant, especially with COVID going on. My parents were hesitant because I was a girl. And although my year at the time, although it's about 50-50 now at UTC, my year was about 60 boys to 20 girls. And not once did I ever feel like I had to fight to be heard. I was given every single opportunity that everybody else was given, regardless of your age, your gender, ethnicity. It's just an amazing school. Go there, please. The teachers are amazing. And thank you for having me today, John.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Rhiannon. Really appreciate you giving up some time this evening to talk about your experience and the impact that it's had on you securing this place. So well done. Now, normally at this point you would hear from Siobhan, but unfortunately she is another member of staff that is suffering at the moment with illness. So you're going to hear from Jenny again, who not only is an assistant principal, but is also a science teacher at the UTC and has been since she joined over 6 years ago. So Jenny, over to you.
Hi everyone. I'm going to start by apologising for earlier on. I had loads of words in my head to tell you about teaching and learning, and none of them came out of my mouth. So if there's any questions that you weren't sure of, please do put them in the chat. I'm going to let you know about science. So if you join us here at UTC Reading to study science in year 10, I briefly mentioned before that everybody does triple science to begin with in year 10. So we study AQA sciences at GCSE. As you move into year 11, you then get the choice of what kind of science you would like to study. So this is a decision between students and parents and UTC. And we don't offer trilogy. So some schools would offer a combination of all three sciences that then get combined together to make 2 GCSEs. We find it better that students can drop the science that they don't want to study. They might not be as interested or as confident in that science. They might choose to then study 2 sciences. So you might be able to do 3 GCSEs and study triple. Or you could do, for example, a GCSE in biology and physics and not study chemistry any further. At Key Stage 5, we offer A-levels in all 3 sciences, biology, chemistry and physics. Biology and chemistry are both AQA, A-level, and physics is OCR-A. And we also have lots of practical experience for all of the students and lots of support from industry partners. Our pipeline programme last year, one of them ran with the University of Reading, and our students were really lucky to be able to go and work with the researchers over there on a science-based project looking at diet, health and the effects of diabetes.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Jenny. And just while we're here, I'm just going to pan round. So for those of you that are interested in science, this is one of 4 labs that we've got. And again, just to give you an idea of some of the things that we do at the UTC, you heard me talking on about how the fact we don't really sit still and we're constantly trying to improve. So it wasn't that long ago that actually this was just an empty classroom with tables and chairs in. We invested heavily in making sure that this room was completely equipped as a science lab because of the growing demand from students to do science-based subjects, particularly at A-level. And you'll hear a bit more about that in some of the answers to the questions. So to finish off from our staff in the building tonight, you're going to hear from Steph Mitchell, who's going to tell you about design and technology. Over to you, Steph.
Thanks, John. Welcome to Architecture and Product Design. We offer GCSE product design in which students go through a series of projects, including skill building, lamps and lighting, an architecture project, and a component 2 based project. And in architecture at A-level, we offer skill building, followed by a personal investigation, at which the students choose the topic of their choice. And then their component 2 project. In both cases, it is made up of a 60% component 1, a 40% component 2, and is 100% coursework portfolio based, as you can see here. Now, the students in both courses, A-level and GCSE, will work through researching existing designers, existing architects. They will develop their design ideas using hand-drawn sketches, 2-point perspective, isometric drawing skills, which we teach you. They will also develop CAD skills using programs such as Google SketchUp, and lots of modelling using either hand-based means, so foam boards, ModRock, as well as developing their skills using the laser cutter and the 3D printers. So John is just having a look through here to show you some of our portfolios. These are from both A-level and our GCSE projects. So a little bit of an overview there for you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Steph. So that's the final subject material that you're going to receive tonight. And we're going to finish off hearing from our Director of SEN and SENCO, Georgina. And then straight after that, you're going to hear from Becky Morris, who again is another one of our alumni students who I actually taught at some point in the not too distant past. And then you'll find us back in the conference room at the end where we'll try and answer as many questions as we can. So Georgina, over to you.
Hello, so I am the SENCO at UTC Reading. The three broad areas that we can talk about with SEN support at UTC Reading is what our main aims are. So our main aim with SEN support is to help students to develop independence. Students can come from other mainstream education where they are used to being over-supported. So we work on reversing that. We work on developing in their independence, mostly through using technology, so that they can build the skills for when they leave school, and have those interventions in place to support them in later life as well. We also focus on student and parent voice. So the SEN support that we provide is all centred on the student. So we have regular meetings with staff and students so that they can voice what their concerns are. We use a system called Provision Map where parents can actively see constantly what support is being provided for their children, and make comments on that as well, to help us to define the best support for them, because you guys all know your children better than we do, so you know what works, what doesn't work, and that's really useful because that can go directly to the teachers then, without emails, and it can be a direct link. We also focus on quality first teaching. So when we talk about teaching, not just talking about what's happening day to day in the lessons, the blue paper that might be needed, or the overlay, or the tinted screen on the PowerPoint, but we're also thinking about the open days that we hold with Steph, the industry partner engagement that we have, and all that is especially important for SEN children that might need that little bit of extra support in their next steps after school. Special educational needs is all defined on what the individual needs. So we try and make it as unique as possible, but there are lots of different options that we can provide. We have a safe haven, which has sense-free equipment inside, like a weighted blanket or some light projectors, bean bags, rocking chair. So we can give access to students for that. We have overlays, we have ELSAs that we can book sessions with for students. So there's lots of provisions that we can put in place based on what the individual's needs are. But those are the three main areas of focus. Thank you, John.
Okay, thanks very much, Georgina. Really appreciate that. Again, Georgina's work coming from home there, giving us that information. Now we're going to pass over to Becky Morris, who's going to give you some background about what her experience was like as a engineering student in the past. And like I say, I'll talk Becky for a period of time, and then she's now out working for one of our industry partners. Becky, over to you.
Hi everyone, so I'm Becky. I graduated UTC 5 years ago. So I was actually at UTC before John was. So when he joined, he became the head of engineering. And so the reason I chose UTC way back in the day, before Ofsted had even given them a review, was I've always wanted to be an engineer for as long as I can remember. And the school I was at didn't give me the opportunity to do that. It didn't give me the opportunity to study what I wanted. So I went searching. And the second they said somewhere like UTC existed, I wanted to go there because it was filled with people who were passionate about the same things as me. So I used to get so annoyed when I was, say, in woodshop classes and there would be someone interrupting the class because they said they didn't care. Whereas when I went to UTC, everyone in my class chose those subjects. They chose to spend their time doing engineering. the teachers, they were from industry, they knew what it was like, and I felt like they respected me, because we called each other by our first names. I never had a teacher shout at me. Like there was that respect level between us, which I think really helped me when I went into my job, because I knew what it was going to be like. So currently, thanks to UTC, I joined AWE. That happened because UTC actually invited AWE to do a talk at the college, and I met a apprentice that is now someone the year above me, and she inspired me to apply, and I did, and I got the job, and it was amazing because I got to talk to her about what it'd be like working there, and that's how UTC really helped me. They also gave me so much confidence because I did these massive projects that UTC hosts with like the military. I work with Thames Water, and I thought at first I was so nervous to speak to these companies, but now it's almost like I'm used to it. Thanks UTC. I also felt like teachers would listen to students. So when I got there were still like rules being set up for UTC. So when I first joined, sixth formers couldn't go out at lunch, but our students, we talked to the college, we talked to the principal, and we kind of discussed that. And then we got rules put in so that now sixth formers can leave at lunch to get food. And it was the fact they listened to us. And it made me feel good that they respected us more than I felt at another school. And like, thank you so much, because it was great years. It's 2 brilliant years.
Thank you very much, Becky. Appreciate that. All those lessons and whatever obviously have paid off in the past. So well done for getting to where you got to today, and for your enthusiasm and kind words there. It's really appreciated. So just before we get on to the Q&A session, we very much recognise that we're slightly coming up to the end of time, but we're going to try and answer as many questions as possible. Hopefully, the experience that you've just had in terms of all the information that you've heard of and just seeing around the building, hearing about all the wonderful experiences that you can have as students all the way from year 10 up to the end of year 13 have ignited a flame, or have fueled the flame even more perhaps. So if you do wish to apply, you can do so up until the 31st of December. That's for both year 10 and for year 12. And in order to do so, you do not go through the local authority. You apply directly to the UTC by going onto our website. There's a very clear section that you need to go to on there where you will click through the process and you will put an application in. To give you an idea of numbers, we are recruiting 120 students into year 10 in September 2021, and we're recruiting 150 students into year 12. So there's plenty of opportunity for people to join us. Now, we are, and have been for the last 3 or 4 years now, we've been completely oversubscribed in both of those year groups. But what we particularly find is those in the sixth form are exploring a number of different options. So what we recommend is that you put the application in. The way in which we recruit, this is one of the questions that often comes up. You'll see a map that comes up on your screen very shortly, which I will just bring up now. And on that, you can see the geographical location where we recruit people from. So on the map that you can see, there's 3 specific green areas. We recruit 30% from each of those green areas, and then 10% from around the outside. That is the only control measure that we have for our overall recruitment. And the rest of the recruitment is done through a random selection, particularly at year 10. So there's no entry criteria at year 10. The only other step that comes in year 12 is that there are entry criteria as a minimum. So in order to come into the sixth form in year 12, you need to have 5 grade 5s and above, including English and maths, to come in and join the sixth form. And then there are some specific requirements for particular subjects. So for any of the sciences, for A-level, for biology, chemistry or physics, you need at least a grade 6 in those subjects or in the trilogy combination. If you're going to do A-level maths, you need a grade 6 in GCSE maths. And if you'd like to do A-level further maths, you need a grade 7 in GCSE maths. So minimum is 5 grade 5s and above, including English and maths, and then those ones on top if you wish to study those particular subjects. So that's how you apply. Get your applications in now. There is no benefit to applying early versus late, but the earlier you get it in, the more we can understand about what students are applying for and what sort of subjects they're picking. And then in January, normally towards the end of January, that's when we start making our offers out to everybody and receiving the acceptances of those offers. And we will communicate with you almost every couple of weeks, right the way through the point at which you put your application in to the point at which you first start on your first day in September 2021. So that's the end of all the kind of information sharing, but we have had a very large number of questions. I can't quite see the number of them, but I've seen quite a few popping up as I've been walking around. So we're going to start off with whichever ones come up first. We'll try and answer as many as possible, but do remember, if we can't answer all of them in the time that we've got, and I appreciate we're slightly over, we will send a written response to every single question, not just the ones that we haven't answered tonight. We'll send those out by the end of tomorrow, and you'll get the presentation and you'll get a recording of the event as well. And, sorry, just well reminded there, is if this isn't enough, frankly you haven't had enough of my voice in particular, you can come to a Meet the Principal session on a Thursday afternoon. These are being run every single week. The format's fairly similar, other than it's just me. You don't get the benefit of all the other wonderful people that work here. So I talk you through some of the core things that I spoke about at the start of the event around our vision and our mission and how we go about doing things. I'll take you on a tour around the building, but you don't hear from all the different people on the way round. And then we have a Q&A at the end. Slightly smaller in terms of numbers, so there's only up to 10 families in that. So the idea of that is that it promotes a bit of discussion and conversation once we get back to my office or back to the conference room to have a bit of a discussion at the end. And they've been fully booked up until now. If you would like to book on one of those, go straight onto the Eventbrite website that's available for UTC Reading. You can do that through our own main website, book on one of the slots, and then you can come and join me for one of those events and get some more information. So let's try and answer some of these questions. Forgive me if I keep looking away, it's just me looking at them. And I will bring in Jax and Jenny, my colleagues, who may answer some of these as well. First one, Jax, I'll ask you to come up for this. I'll do a quick answer. So do students need their own laptops? Yes, but there's a couple of ways at the moment that we do this. We may change this, but I'll let Jax explain how we do things at the moment.
Hi, yeah, so we have our own e-learning laptop scheme where I can order all of the laptops that the students need. At the moment, we're specialising in Fujitsu laptops, but that doesn't have to be the case forever. So we provide the laptops and all the software and everything that you would need for your time at UTC. If you don't want to buy into our scheme, that's fine. You can just bring your own device. We will still supply all of the software that you need. That's Microsoft Office and everything that comes with that, and also the Adobe Cloud software as well. If you do buy a laptop through our e-learning scheme, one of the advantages you have over bringing your own device is that we offer a 2-year warranty return and also 2-year accidental insurance cover. So if you were to drop the laptop, smash the screen, spill something on the keyboard, it's all covered for the 2 years that you might be at the UTC, which I think is then a really good deal and just takes that worry away from you.
Brilliant, thank you, Jax. So there's lots of questions here that are under the banner of curriculum. I'm going to try and get through as many of these as I can with some quick answers. So can you choose to study for A-levels? Yes, if it's absolutely something that you wish to do, but we don't recommend it because frankly 4 A-levels is a massive commitment in terms of time in lessons. So you're looking at 20 hours a week in terms of timetable lessons, let alone all of the other hours that you need to do on top in order to extend your learning and prepare for examinations at the end of it. And if you are thinking about doing 4 A-levels, think about how is that going to enable you to progress to the next step that doing 3 A-levels won't. And we've had quite a few experiences where we have allowed a few students to do 4 A-levels, and actually it's had a detrimental impact on their ability to progress, primarily because they haven't been able to manage the workload that's come there despite all of the intervention and everything that we've provided there. So think about that carefully. We can support it if it's something you really want to do, but it's not something that we recommend. What engineering disciplines are studied? So you heard about the EAL Level 2 qualification that David spoke about. That's for our Key Stage 4. That's a very broad engineering subject that predominantly focuses on practical work in terms of sheet metal work and fabrication, as well as some civil engineering work and problem solving. You've also got some mathematical understanding in there, as well as a big focus on testing and materials. And then when you move into Key Stage 5, again, it's much more broad. There's lots of mathematical and physics underpinning subjects that you need to do, as well as electronics and microprocessor and control systems, some robotics, and again, more of the mechanical and electrical units in there as well. There is a question here about how strong is the focus on helping students with going to university? Will students be supervised in this, or is the college more focused on apprenticeships and getting to work? I really like that question, but I will answer it as best I can. So when I was in the dining room talking to you about the number of different routes that our students can take. So whether a student does A-levels, the technical route or the hybrid route, all three of those can help you move on to a degree at university through the normal route with UCAS, a degree apprenticeship, or going straight out to employment. So the support that we offer is as broad as it needs to be. So all of our students at the moment that are really interested in applying to university through the direct routes through UCAS are all getting that support at the moment. And the particular group that we're focusing on right now are those that need early entry. So that's any student that is looking for medical degrees in particular universities, veterinary studies, and any of the Oxbridge applicants as well. They all tend to need an earlier application by mid to late October. So we're doing all of that now, and then all of the deadlines for everybody else tends to be the first or second week in January, and we go through that entire process. That programme of work begins in year 12, and then we carry it on all the way through the start of year 13, so that they have all that done in term 1 when they come back in year 13, and they're able to make a really concrete decision about which university they wish to go to. But also whilst doing it, we're talking to them about the other routes that they can study as well, and continue their studying or their career with, so that they can make a really informed choice. So underneath that question perhaps was, are we weighted towards one particular direction? The answer is no. We will support the students in whatever it is that they aspire to do in the format that they wish to study in. So really good question there, and thank you for asking it. Jenny, do you want to come up and do this one? So are the core subjects streamed in ability, and if so, how many groups? You need to step back here.
Hi. We don't stream in sciences, but English and maths are streamed. They are not streamed as in sets. What we have is students who might be more able, less able. We have an A side and a B side in our timetable, and within that there are 3 groups of each. So we have 6 groups in year 10, 6 groups in year 11. So you would have 3 groups on the A side with a slightly more able, slightly less able mix, but that is still quite a broad range within there. It just helps us to give the exact support that those students would need. But that is the only place that it happens in English and maths, and all of our other subjects are taught in complete mixed ability classes. And we find that that's actually a really brilliant way of teaching the students and preparing them for the world of work, because when you leave education, you are not going to be screened working with your colleagues. You're going to be working with people with a variety of skills, and it's really important that they're able to learn those skills now while they're still in school.
Brilliant. Just stay there for a minute, Jenny. So there's a really good question here that has come that's very, very current. So the question is under the banner of COVID-19. What else have we got to talk about right now? What provisions do you have in place for any future lockdown? I'm just going to ask Jenny to tell you a bit about what we're doing right now, because what we're doing right now will in effect be in play should there be a future lockdown, because we've got something really exciting in place that's working very well.
Brilliant. So I think it's probably best to tell you what we did in the previous lockdown, how we've learned from that, and what our future plan is. So for the previous lockdown that began in March, we taught students online, all year groups, every day from 9 o'clock till 12 o'clock. The afternoon was then available for students to complete work, receive pastoral support remotely, or have some time with their families, because we knew it was a really anxious and stressful time for everyone. When we've then returned back to school, we are now in a position where we are providing blended learning, as I mentioned before. Students who aren't in school are accessing live lessons via audio and presentation from the teacher, so they're not disadvantaged by being away from school, and they complete their full timetable but don't do enrichment or sport at that point. For a future lockdown, we'd be looking to do exactly the same thing, providing live lessons through Microsoft Teams. And we're really pleased that all of our students pick up the technical skills they need really quickly when they join us, and using it in class is helping us to make sure that should that lockdown come, we are absolutely prepared to flip over to an online learning within 24 hours. So there will be no delay in their education, and we can just move the entire school to an online format.
Brilliant. Thank you, Jenny. So really, really good question there, and it's really important that we're able to respond as a school to the changing needs of the challenges that we're all facing across the world. So a couple more questions that I just want to pick up on that came out about applications in particular. There was a question there about when they needed to be handed in by. So just a reminder there, it's December the 31st. So get them in anywhere between now and that point, and then we start making the offers out in January towards the end of the month. How many applicants applied for year 10 this year? About 250 for the 120 places. Again, we would love to be able to offer a place for every single one of those students, but the building just isn't big enough to take everyone. And it's, like I said, it's not done on a first come, first serve. It's completely randomised process that we go through, apart from those entry criteria for the year 12 and the postcode provision for year 10, and then all of the work that's done to select the students is done by a third party, where we don't get involved in seeing any of the information apart from after the actual decision has been made. There's also a bit in there about transition. So on the basis that you've been offered a place, do we offer students taster and transition days under normal circumstances? Yes, that was very difficult to do during the lockdown period that we went through before the summer. But assuming that things will be a bit easier by the summer term in this academic year, we definitely hope to have future year 10 and 12 students in the building doing some engagement activities, and we can absolutely assure you that we'll be giving you work to do over the summer as well, as part of your kind of keeping warm activities to prepare you for joining. There was a question in there about these two are linked, I think, so extracurricular clubs, will they be available at the UTC? So you heard about the enrichment activities that I spoke about. They are our extracurricular clubs. We've got a much longer day, so that's when we do it at the end of the day on a Friday. But also there's all these other extracurricular things that we do just as part of our normal day and as part of the curriculum. So yes, there are lots of those, and we'll list those out in the written response to that question, because I could be here all night talking about those. And there's the same question in there about sports teams. So if there are students that are interested in creating a sports team, we have had one in the past. We had a football team because there are enough students that said we really want to formulate a football team, and they worked with the staff to create one, and we set up a few games for them between UTC Reading students and students from other schools. So I think we'll pause it there. We're about 15 minutes over time. Thank you very much for your time and attention this evening. I do appreciate it. Hopefully you've gained enough from this to help you make a decision that you at least want to apply to the UTC and find out more. Remember, you've got the Meet the Principal sessions either this week or every single week from now until the end of the year. It's likely that we're going to hold another open event at some point after the half-term break. Whether it's virtual or face-to-face, we will certainly let you know. And if there is any change to them being face-to-face and doing some physical tours around the building, we will let you know about that too, so that at least you can come in and actually feel what the building is like inside it. So thank you again, really appreciate the time. Take care in these difficult times, and I hope to see you all very soon. Thanks very much.